So we want to get back to optimizing cash. This is what it's all about, as Robert Kiyosaki says. It's not about return on investment. It's about cashing. How much money do I have coming into my personal economy? And how much money do I have going out every month? That's what we want to optimize. And a lot of that to be optimized in ways that your typical financial advisor is not going to help you with. Your typical financial advisor is just going to look at how much liquid capital you have today or how much do you have in investments today. Let me take that over and start managing them. Or how much in cash flow do you have per month that you could safely invest? I will take that and manage it for you. But that's not really what's going to get you wealthy. What's going to get you wealthy is generating income, improving in cash flow. So let's back up a step. How are you coming up with that money to invest? And let's start optimizing everything about your financial life. Let's look at the foundation of the pyramid. Instead of jumping straight to the top of the pyramid with speculative investments, where we're putting money in some vehicle and hoping for some great return, that's speculating. That's at the top of the financial pyramid. Let's first build the foundation. And the larger and stronger your foundation is, ironically, the more successful you're going to be with investments because you'll be in the right mindset. You'll be able to stay patient and disciplined. One of the biggest advantages that rich people have is that they can afford to be patient, whereas most people cannot afford to be patient. They need money now, and therefore they might in theory be able to invest something and hold and be patient, but in practice they find they're not able to because as soon as something happens in their financial life, they have to withdraw their investments. Deal with it. So let's start with the foundation of the pyramid. Let's look at your protection and your savings. Protection, ironically, the less assets you have, the more important having protection is because the more you can potentially be hurt if something negative happens. Wealthy people tend to have more insurance and more protection than anybody else because they have the right mindset. But technically speaking, they don't need as much of it because they have money available to them. But wealthy people have the right mindset, so they want that protection in place because they see it's just a more efficient use of their capital to buy, as an example, an insurance policy rather than parking cash to the side to be used in case of emergency. So protection, of course, starts with things like insurance policies, home insurance, car insurance, maybe a liability insurance policy, maybe business insurance, health insurance, or potentially health sharing, which can be a better option. You could look at long-term care insurance or critical illness insurance. And then, of course, life insurance, having the right kind of life insurance. That's part of your foundation. Another that people don't think about would be estate planning. Have your estate planning done. It's not challenging. It just needs to get done so that you are protected if you're incapacitated and unable to make decisions. Then who's making decisions for you? Who has access to your money? Who's taking care of the children if you have children? Having a good estate plan is part of your foundation. It's part of your protection. And everyone needs an estate plan. I'm not an estate planning attorney, but I do partner with people. Obviously, I interact with a lot of estate plans, so I know enough to be dangerous. Another part of your foundation is protecting your most valuable assets. As an example, your income. Your income, when you think about it, is your most valuable asset, how much you're earning. If you're earning $150,000 a year in a full-time job, what would happen if that income stopped? Don't you want to protect your ability to keep earning income? That's where a disability insurance policy would come in, where if you become disabled and not able to work, that policy will replace your income. And how about your insurability? If you are still young enough and healthy enough to qualify for various insurance policies, that itself is an asset. So buy insurance policies in such a way that your insurability is protected, or your current health rating is locked in and guaranteed, and you can add more coverage later. Those are some foundational assets. And then let's start building savings. When you're contributing money to a retirement account or to mutual funds or to investments, that is not saving. That is investing. That is speculating. And it's okay to do that, but that is not the same as savings. We need to build our savings first, or at least in parallel with investments. And ask yourself, how much of your money do you want going towards safe vehicles versus risky vehicles, whatever that number should be. And you could potentially use whole life insurance as a savings vehicle. Whole life insurance is unique in that it straddles the line between both protection and savings. It gives you both. It protects you because it has that death benefit, creditor protection, long-term care protection, tax benefits, etc. But then it's also a savings vehicle because your cash value grows over time, and that's cash that you are able to access and use for whatever you need it from. So let's build those parts of the pyramid first. And when we optimize your coverage, your insurance policies, or protection across the board, we're probably going to free up a lot of cash flow in the process over the long run. Or at the very least, we're going to put you in a better, stronger position. And when we look at optimizing your taxes, we can potentially free up a lot of cash flow. The question has more to do with how much effort is the client willing to put forth? Because I can advise you, and there are many things that I can do myself, but it's always going to require some cooperation and work and open-mindedness on the part of the client. So how much information are you willing to share with me? The more information you could share, the more policy documents you could send me. I'm happy to review all of those if you're willing to send them to me. And then when we have all of our options on the table, some of those options will require some work on the part of the client. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to get that bank account, that credit card, change whatever insurance policy you're using? Are you willing to do that work? That's really a question for you. The more work you're willing to do, and the more information you share with me, the more I can help you. It's as simple as that. But a lot of this has to do with optimizing cash flow. Before we even get to how are we going to use that free cash flow, let's optimize your situation so you have more free cash flow to be in. And then when it comes to savings, there are multiple vehicles you could save in. There's no one right answer to this question. So when people ask me, should I do this or this? Do you favor this or this? The answer is always both. It's just a matter of position sizing and what role is that particular asset playing in your financial life. I'm not telling you not to invest your money. I'm not telling you don't have a retirement account. Both are fine. If you want to invest your money, that's fine. If you want to have a retirement account, that's fine. Just understand clearly what is your strategy and how does that vehicle fit into your strategy. So you might have a convertible term life insurance policy to get you the maximum death benefit and protect your insurability for the future. Then you might have a whole life insurance policy. This is a long-term savings vehicle. Then you might have investments in a retirement account to potentially get that higher rate of return and get the tax benefits associated with the retirement accounts and get the match that your employer is giving you. All of that is perfectly fine. Then it becomes a matter of position size. How much cash are we building in our whole life insurance policy? What level of premium is appropriate for you? How much death benefit do we have on the life policy? How much death benefit do we have on the term policy? What is our investing strategy in that retirement account? And how does it fit into our overall strategy? Because when you think holistically and you think in terms of cash flow, you find that rate of return on investment is not really that important of a metric. It does mean something. It's not completely meaningless. It does mean something. But really, it's all about income. It's all about cash flow. If I can improve my cash flow by optimizing my expenses or increasing my income, that's what's going to make the most difference over the long run. Parking my money in some vehicle and hoping for some promised rate of return can work, but it's limited. It's not generating income for you in the meantime. The only time you benefit from it, the only time you generate income from it is when you sell those particular assets, whether they're market-based or otherwise, and realize a gain and collect income and potentially pay taxes on it. That's the only time you actually benefit from those market-based assets. It's nice to have a nest egg in the market, but really it's all about how much income did you generate. Starting a business on the side or investing in real estate are the two best ways that people have generated income. There are others, of course. There are so many different ways you can create. The number of ways you can generate income and improve your financial life is really infinite. It's never been easier to explore and start on your own a lot of these different methods. It's never been easier to start a business. And try to avoid self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs, like saying, I couldn't possibly invest in real estate. I don't have enough money. That's a self-limited belief. You can get into real estate with no money at all if you start with wholesaling as an example. And there are others as well. You can find some partners out there, seasoned real estate investors that love talking with people who are new, who are green, and who are eager to learn. And then maybe you can partner with them and put in the sweat equity and get a cut of the deal without putting in any actual monetary equity. And then you'll learn, of course. The most important thing is the learning. Most people who start a business fail the first time around. Most successful entrepreneurs fail the first time they try. The difference is they don't give up. They don't view failure as the conclusion. They view failure as a step along the way to success. I don't know of a single business owner off the top of my head who succeeded with his first business. Usually their first business fails, but then they try again. And when you try again with that second business, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with a huge advantage. All that experience you gained from being in that first business stays with you. All of the contacts that you made, all the network that you built up, all the credibility that you earned, all of that stays with you. So when you start your second business, you're not starting from scratch. You're not starting over. You might be starting over from a monetary standpoint, but you're actually getting further along the exponential curve, and you're getting closer to when that exponential curve is going to turn and go versus. Me personally, I certainly learned a lot from being in business that I never could have learned from being a W-2 employee. Matt Seibert, I had him on my show. He's a successful business owner. His first business failed. I don't know what his first business was, but now he's in the business of training life insurance agents. And that's what he does full time. That's his business, and he's been very successful with it. So he went from whatever his first business was, which failed, to selling life insurance effectively, being a financial efficiency coach, and now to training life insurance agents. Think about ways you can generate income. Get over those self-limiting beliefs of, I can't start a business. It's too hard. It's blah, blah, blah. I need to have all this other stuff. But you're going to be right. As they say, the man who says he can and the man who says he cannot are both right. No matter what you say, you're going to be right. Being a business owner, are there challenges? Absolutely. Is it difficult? Absolutely. But if you're able to stay in it long enough, I think anyone can succeed in business. If I can succeed in business, anyone can succeed in business. The key is perseverance. You have to be willing to stay in it long enough to succeed. What most people do with a business is as if they went out, planted a seed in the ground, watered it, and then they came out the next day and they didn't see a tree yet. And then they just gave up, said, this is ridiculous. This is a scam. It doesn't work. Can't believe all those people lied to me. It doesn't work. Well, you didn't give it long enough. And there's an analogy there too, because if you're planting a tree, for a while, you're going to be watering it, fertilizing it, doing lots of things to it potentially, and not seeing any above ground progress. And then when you see above ground progress, it's going to be very little at first. And it's the same thing in business. For the first year, maybe even longer, you're not going to see a lot of progress above ground. You're not going to see revenue coming into your pocket yet. But you are actually making a lot of progress. It's just the sort of progress that is hard to see if you haven't been a business owner before and you haven't built a business before. You're building your skill set, your messaging, your offer, your network, which is the most important thing overall. You're building your brand, your image. And that has to happen for some period of time before you see any revenue. And of course, this depends on the business you're in. Some businesses you are able to generate immediate income. Some it takes longer. And that just depends on you. But I'll encourage you to think about that. And again, think holistically, because when you start a business, let's say as a side gig, you immediately pick up tax benefits that you don't have when you're just a W-2 employee. So even if your business doesn't make a lot or makes nothing, there can still be benefits. It's all a mindset game. When you start a business, it really changes your mindset in a good way. And I would encourage you just to stay at it, just persevere. Understand you're going to have a lot of rejection, a lot of what feels like failures to you, but are not failures. Really, they're just steps along the way to success. When you walk into a bank and you have a business, there's a whole host of products that are available for business owners that are not available for your average person who has a W-2 job. Again, nothing wrong with a W-2 job. I had one for a long time. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people who looks down on W-2 employees. I don't. I'm a big fan of, if you are a W-2 employee and you have a job that you like, consider starting a business on the side and see how that affects you. But when you walk into a bank, there are products you can now get access to that you could not without a business. So if you're the sort of person like me who maximizes bank bonuses, credit card bonuses, where on a regular basis, I'm applying for new credit cards, bank accounts, and clearing the signing bonuses, what you find is you can now get a lot more because you can effectively double dip on those bonuses, where you could get a bonus on a personal account and then get a bonus on a business account. And usually the business account bonuses are more lucrative than the personal account bonuses, because the bank, they know 80% of businesses fail, but they see a lot more upside in a business if they can get you on board as a customer versus the W-2 employee. And even those businesses who do fail, it's not like the bank doesn't benefit in the meantime. If you have a business checking account and there's some amount of cash going through that in the interim, the bank is still benefiting even if your business fails. Those are just some of the benefits of being a business owner. But the number one benefit is how it changes your mindset in a good way. And again, you've got to persevere, because that change in mindset takes time. Some people are just naturally have the entrepreneurial mindset. There are some people like that. I'm certainly not like that. And I would argue the vast majority of us are not born like that. The vast majority of us are not born entrepreneurs. But when you look at the successful entrepreneurs versus the unsuccessful ones, it's not that they had some hidden secret, some hidden talent, some hidden genius. That's usually not what separates them. Usually it's just perseverance. Most successful business owners that I've met are just average Joes. They don't have Harvard PhDs. They're not geniuses. They're not super creative entrepreneurs. They just stayed in it long enough that they were able to succeed. And that's what I found with my business. I'm probably one of the most least suited to the business that I'm in terms of my personality, my temperament. And honestly, I only got into the business because my health issues forced me out of a good full-time job. And I only stayed in the business as long as I did because my health issues prevented me from doing anything differently, because I needed something where I could set my schedule. I would like to pretend like I had this master plan that I implemented, but it's not true at all. A lot of it is just because I had no other choice. But what I have learned is if you persevere long enough, your chances for success go up dramatically the longer you're able to persevere. You don't have to be a genius. So start your business on the side, do some work on it, start rethinking things, get that business owner mindset, start realizing some of the benefits of being a business owner, like the tax benefits, additional bank accounts and credit cards can open up for you, and stay in long enough for your business to succeed. And if your first business fails, don't view that as the end point. That's just the first step along the way to success.